Okay, students, I'm ready to trim the cap lidded jar here. So this is the jar that I threw earlier, and here's the cap for it. And it fits perfectly right on the top. So I don't have a lot of trimming or fitting or fiddling to do with this area, this flange, or the interior of the lid. I do want to trim the top here so that way it has a nice smooth dome and it's all cleaned up. One thing that I want to point out to you is that it's really nice how this lid fits and doesn't extend past the shelf that it sits on, the flange that it sits on, so that it looks really cohesive. You don't want a huge bumper of a lid to be extending out past the top of your jar. This is a very visual sort of looking at a form and thinking about nuances that make a form successful, make a form look tight. So what I'm going to do to trim the top of this is I'm going to put a little water down. Get my lid suction to the wheel, and I'll get this trimmed. Seems like this part is sticking out a little far. So I'm going to move it a fraction of an inch. Oh, it's almost there. When your line is going all the way around, then you know that your jar is centered. Okay. Now my line is going all the way around. So I'm gonna take my trim tool, just trim a little bit, that part that was hanging over there. And now I'm gonna trim the top of this cap. I have a lot of students ask me, should I have a knob on a cap lid? Should I have a strap? Should I have a little sculpture or a way to decorate the top? It's entirely up to you. I usually like a really simple form that's uninterrupted with a knob, particularly for a cap lid. They're made by nature to just be grasped and lifted. So there's not really a need to have a knob to lift this up like the inset lid. And I think that it looks a lot better as one smooth sort of egg-like form. Like a little pillbox. Okay, so now I'm going to trim the bottom of this one. I have a little water stuck down there, so I'll move my pot around, suction it down, and for the sake of expediency again, I'm going to tap this on center. I'm going to lug this form down. And you can see that I don't press very hard when I lug my forms down, but I do hold them so they don't move. Just like in previous trimming videos, you'll notice that I always have one hand touching the clay, touching the pot as I trim, because I can really feel the thickness of the wall when I have a finger on it, and I also can feel when the form starts to go a little off center or moves. Sometimes this is the thing that helps you when your pot wants to fly off the wheel. This is the thing that keeps that from happening. Okay, so I'm just really trimming and articulating the form of the lidded jar, accentuating the foot, cleaning it up, doing all that little fiddly work to make it look well made and considered. Now I'm going to trim out the interior. And I'm going to take the flat side of my tool and smooth it out. Trim the edge of the foot, trim the inside. I like to run my sponge over the foot, and now this is done. Boop. Okay. So I have a nice clean jar here. I have a nice smooth fit, and this all comes together in a really nice cohesive way.